Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show. You know the routine, another exciting guest. Today we're going to go to Minnesota and we're going to talk with a beautiful young lady. And let me tell you where the story's going. You talk about having to rechannel that beast mindset. Imagine, if you will, growing up in a small town, family's well known. And you're caught between almost a rock and a hard place. Let me go here real quick. You're trying to keep tradition alive on one part of your life. You also want the Cinderella story that your family's told you for years in a small town. You get married, you have children, you live happily ever after. Then somewhere along the line, something happens that changed the whole trajectory. Now you become, how can I put it where this makes sense? You're the town gossip now. You didn't follow the path that was chosen. People look at you different. But more importantly, how do you keep that beast mindset to avoid, reshape, and not let that affect you? Today on the show, a beautiful young lady has done just that and has taken what I might call the bull by the horns and say, you know what? This is not the way I'm going to adjust my life, my kids, and my family. Let's welcome to the show, Erin, Curran. What's up, baby girl?
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Such a great story. I can't imagine. Well, I can, because I came from a big town, from Indianapolis, and when my mom was taken from me at a young age, I moved down south, not Atlanta, but further down in Georgia, and it was a culture shock, and it was amazing, the mindset. So I'm gonna call this episode "Small Town Mind, Big City Dreams." Before we get started, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into your story.
Well, my name is Erin. I earn my money by being a librarian. And then people who know me are like, if it's ever like, guess what job she does? No one would really ever guess that I'm a librarian. That surprises people. I guess I have more, there's a lot of stereotypes about what a librarian is like, and I don't fit those stereotypes. But so I was always an athlete, competed in swimming for 20 years. I was a competitive ski racer. I like to golf, do all those kind of things. And that was actually how I met my ex-husband. We were partnered in my senior year of high school in gym class. We were tennis golf partners. But so anyway, I graduated from high school, went to college, and swam for a Division III school. I was a distance swimmer, and I think swimming more than anything taught me like discipline and work ethic and delayed gratification. Like I would train for a race for 6 months, and so swimming, I think, really taught me how to have that grit and have that tough mindset. And so anyway, I'm an only child, and so my parents and my family are, that's kind of it. I mean, I doubled our family size on my own. Like we went from 3 to 6, and I have 3 kids. I have 3 kids. My oldest son is 12, in 6th grade. My daughter is 11, and my youngest son is 8. And so life just changed a lot when I became a mom. Like I kind of lost myself, and all of my energy and all of my focus went into them and being the best mom I could be. And I didn't really have a partner that was a partner. So I was managing everything, like household, full-time job, kids, and making all the decisions. And it was really a lot. And in during that time, well, before I think it was like, I found out I was pregnant and I finished my master's degree in like the same week.
Wow.
And then my first master's degree in library. And then when my youngest son was 10 days old, which was crazy, I don't know what I was thinking. But when my youngest son was 10 days old, I started my master's program for a history master's, which that was, I don't know what I was thinking when I, when I did that. But yeah, so I have a master's in history as well. So yeah, I value education. I think education is really important, and literacy is something I feel really passionately about. And yeah, and I've kind of, through my divorce, have rediscovered myself and what I enjoy. And so I guess that's kind of my story a little bit, or a little background, how I got where I am.
Now, you say how you got where you're at. So you had to, something had to happen to take you from one transformation that you thought was the right path to a retransformation. Something along the yellow brick road didn't line up. You mentioned that you were in a marriage, but I guess driving solo. So being the only child in your family and being raised in a small town doesn't mean everything is peaches and cream. So somewhere along the line, you and your husband separated, and along that path, something just wasn't right. The people in your town just didn't register with your decision. How did that even take place?
So my ex-husband and I, like I said, we met. I was a senior in high school. He was a junior in high school, and I left for college, and we kind of reconnected because he ended up, I went to a university called the College of St. Benedict, St. John's University. It's like a girls and a boys campus, but they're together. And so he ended up going to a public university in the same town, and we kind of reconnected and then dated throughout the rest of college. And it was just one of those things where we were together, and it was like marriage was the next step. And I thought that we had like the same kind of ambitions.
Now, who decided that marriage was the next step? Was it what you decided? Was it what society decided? Was it what your parents, or was that just the normal philosophy that you was brought up? We've been dating since high school. We reconnected. You know, you're back in my life again. Like, who really focused on the marriage? Was it you or was it him?
I think it was just kind of both of us, but like in my mind, like I had this plan that's like, okay, you go to college, you graduate, you get married, you have kids, and then you're happily ever after. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, okay, well, this is the next thing, the next check mark, the next box, whatever. And I mean, I did love him. It wasn't just like, oh, yep, here's a guy, I'm gonna marry him. I mean, I did care about him, but
you said that philosophy or that mindset was in your mind. Did you even talk to him? Did he share what his mindset was?
I mean, I think he was always really attracted to like the idea of me. Like the things that initially attracted him to me are the things that he came to resent about me. Like that I was like a go-getter, and I was the person like that always took care of things. Like I'm in my friend groups, like I'm the friend that like organizes everything and makes sure everything's okay. And like, I've always been someone who like goes after things and achieves, and I've always worked really hard. And so, I think those things initially attracted him to me, but then he didn't live and hold himself to the same standard that I did. So I think he started to resent that about me. And so those little things just kind of, he would make like backhanded comments to me. And,
now What do you
and then
mean
try
when you
to
say
pass it off.
backhanded? What do you mean when you say backhanded comments?
Like were things that are like a compliment, but they're really like a dig at you. It's like, oh wow, I'm you managed to do that, or like, oh, you always you always make everything perfect, and like stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, I try really hard to make things nice, make things good, but it was more of a dig, like, oh, everything always has to be so perfect, and which isn't true. Like for me, like I don't expect perfection.
When did this stuff start to surface? How long had you guys been married? Because if you've known somebody since high school and all for this long a time, and you guys live in the same community, that means you was pretty close to his family, him close to your family. I mean, these traits just didn't pop out of nowhere.
No, and it would his family would say stuff to me like that too. Like I think they had the impression that my family was, well, like he'll even say things about like since we've divorced, like has this impression that my family has like money, and it's like no, like my parents both worked really hard, and but nothing was like given, it was all earned, and I mean they're middle class, like nothing crazy. And so like even during our divorce process, he would say stuff to me, be like, well, your parents will just buy that for you, your parents will just pay for it. And I'm like, whoa, like no they won't, and I won't ask them. But it things like that like were really common, like just like, oh, your parents can do it, your parents can handle it. And it was like, I don't know where that came. Oh no. Sorry, I just broke my bracelet.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oops. I have like a rosary bracelet and I was messing with it and I broke all.
Now, these things, this borderline sarcasm remarks were taking place prior to you guys getting married too, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of it
with a
was,
marriage. You still went through with a marriage.
I know. I think I struggled, and I still struggle with like feeling good enough and feeling like I deserve things. And I have, like, I love my mom, love her to death, but she is a critical person. So for me growing up, like to feel loved and like accomplishment, I got that, like the praise through achieving. So like by getting good grades, by performing well at a swim meet, or doing well in my ski race, or whatever it was, like the expectation was that I was gonna achieve. And so that was kind of, I felt like I had to earn like love. So it was kind of the way I was conditioned. So it was like, oh, okay, I got to work for this. Like, I don't know. It was messed up. And like now through therapy and self-reflection, like I recognize it now. And I do deserve
he was providing he was providing another means of self-validation for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it was like I felt wanted, and so I accepted like love that was kind of came with conditions, and
what were
because
the
I didn't
conditions?
feel like, because I didn't feel like I deserved better. I don't know, just like to perform in a certain way, to be and it got to the point where it was like I was trying so hard to like earn his love, and that I completely lost myself. And
give me an idea of what you did. That's kind of interesting, because here it is, you go to college, then you go back and work on another degree, a master's degree, but yet and still you're performing tricks to get validation from individual that was clearly showing who he was ever since you guys were a kid. So what were you changing to try to get even more approval for this guy that took you out of character?
it was just like I made myself small. Like I have a large personality. Like I'm always like telling jokes and having fun. And one of my friends told me once, because it was like a friend that I met not with him, like we were both moms and that's how we became friends. And she told me, she's like, when my ex-husband's name is Tyler, and she's like, when Tyler would come around, she's like, I could see you just like get small. Like that I would kind of fold in on myself and like stop taking up space and just kind of like, sure, whatever, like kind of going into like this people pleasing mode. And she said, because she didn't know me in that relationship dynamic, so after we separated, she told me, and she's like, yeah, she's like I would hate it when he would come around because you would just kind of like close in on yourself. And she's like, the Erin that I knew would kind of slide away and was replaced by this like quieter, milder version of myself.
You became docile.
Yeah.
Pretty much. What about your parents? I mean, they had to see something going on because you got 3 children by the guy. I mean, so they had to see something.
I think it was just so gradual because it wasn't like it happened overnight. I mean, it was just a gradual process after like we were together for 17 years. And I remember I got really upset with my aunts because they live overseas. So I see them like once a year. And my aunt had asked me like if I was like struggling with depression or like something like that. And I'm like, no, why? And she's like, well, you just seem different. And I was like, I was super offended by it at the time because I was like a new mom. I had 2 young kids and I was like, no, I'm not depressed. Like I was like, I'm not 18 anymore and I don't need to like party all the time. And like, I grew up and like, that was kind of how I took it. And then after all the stuff happened, it was like, because they weren't seeing me all the time, like they noticed like that shift in my personality and were like, this doesn't seem like the Erin we know. And it just took me longer and the people who are closest to me longer to see it because it was just a very gradual process. And I know people throw around terms like narcissist and all these things, right. But and really like casually. And so I'm not going to like pretend to know or diagnose him, but I remember when I went in after like when we were separating and my therapist said something about that I was abused. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm not a victim. I wasn't abused. Like that wouldn't happen to me. And then we were kind of talking about it and it's like, okay, like keeping money, hiding money, like financial, that's abuse. Like verbal, like talking down to me, like manipulating me, like that's abuse. And it was like shocking to me because I never thought of myself as a victim. Did
you even think later after? Didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. But did you even think you're in therapy for a reason? So something that you was going through internally wasn't processing. So I mean, why was that such a shock to think that his behavior and your reactions and how other people in your town and your family was looking at you, that there wasn't a problem? That is some type of abuse that's happening to you.
Yeah. And it was, again, like when you're in it, it wasn't like he wasn't hitting me. He wasn't like, when I would think of abuse, it was like physical abuse. And he wouldn't like swear and yell at me and stuff. So it was a lot more subtle and it was just kind of what I got used to. But like when he left, I remember I was so lonely in my marriage, like so alone and so lonely. And when he left, I remember waking up like that next morning and like, it was like this weight on my chest had like lifted because I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't trying to please someone. Like I was trying to make his emotions and his happiness my responsibility. And you can't. Like, the only person that I can be responsible for is myself. Like, I can treat other people kindly and like I can control how I treat others, but like I have no control how someone else is going to feel or react. Like that. And I was trying to take on managing his emotions by like, okay, and I would try to like think of like things that could make him mad or like trigger him. And so to not have that happen. And like, I would always have the house like clean and like never dishes in the sink and like trying to do all these little things so that, okay, maybe he'll be happy. Like maybe he won't be, and exhausted myself trying to manage the emotions of another fully grown adult.
How difficult was it for you to begin to get into your transformation? Because you mentioned you live in a small town, and from what I understand, a lot of those people that you thought were friends soon showed their true colors. They was totally against what they consider small town values and small town traditions. So how was you able to navigate tradition to get your own peace of mind back? Because now you're being confronted with the realization that, yeah, you know, you've been abused slowly with what I call the chip theory. It was slowly being chipped at you. And now you get a divorce and people in your town ain't too cool with that.
No, it was like I became a topic of a lot of gossip.
Wait a minute. You got to tell me, what were some of the topics? I'm just curious. How do you talk in a small town?
Well, so there were two parts of it. So when we were getting divorced, my ex-husband had an affair with a bartender at our country club. And
Did you know the girl? Did you know her?
Yes, I knew her. So we are close in age, but I guess she got a little slower start in the game. I don't know. But I was, so she worked at the country club. I knew her from the golf course. And she student taught at my school. And so it was like she was student teaching in English. I was a librarian. I was like offering to help her. Like, you want to collaborate? Like, I know how difficult student teaching is. I remember, like, let me know, like, wrote letters of recommendation for her, like, would let her know when there were job openings. And like, I would see her at the golf course and I would chat with her and stuff. And I'd be like, why is she being so weird? Like, and it's like, oh, you were sleeping with my husband. Now I get it.
How did you find out she was sleeping with your husband?
So one night, actually, I remember it was in November, my ex-husband had said he was going to be helping his dad and that he was going to be home later. And it was like, it just got later. And I was like, I was tired. And so the kids were in bed. I went to bed and he got home at like 2 a.m. and was really drunk. And I was like, what? And like, his dad doesn't drink. So I was like, what's going on? And he like passed out and his phone was going off. And so I looked at it and it was like messages, but it was saved under a guy's name. And it wasn't like, he had it saved under like part of her last name. And it took me a minute and then it like just clicked. And I was like, oh my God. And so had I been a little calmer, a little cooler, I would have waited till the next morning to talk to him about it. But I was like, I was hot. I was like, what?
Did you read the messages on the phone?
Yeah, I read the messages on the phone and then I woke him up.
What was the messages?
It was like, good night, baby. Like, I had so much fun tonight. And I'm like, what? Wow. And it was, he must have deleted all the messages from her, like every time he got them, because there wasn't like a message history. And so I was like, okay. And so I confronted him and he was like, oh no, we've never like, and he was drunk. So it was like the things weren't matching up. And he was saying like, oh no, we're just friends. Like, I was like, this doesn't seem like friends. And then it was like, oh, we just kissed. And then like part of the thing they tell you, like if someone has an affair, the person who is like the victim of the affair, so in my case, me, if you want to try and reconcile, like you have to answer, like him, my ex-husband would have had to answer all my questions, because like what happened then? So he stayed for like 6 months, but it was like death by 1,000 cuts, because he would tell me one thing and then the truth always comes out. And so then I would find out more information. So it was like that wound that was healing would just get ripped back open, and like the trust is gone again. And
Well,
and
how did the first of all, how did the wounds even begin to heal? Because now he told you who the girl is. You're at a country club, and I mean, if you guys are hanging at a country club, y'all must be pretty loaded if a lot of activity is taking place at a country club. You got to have money being these country clubs. But your girl's there. How do you even navigate knowing that every time you're at the country club, this woman is there?
Well, I called I called the club pro and said, told him what happened. And she was also sleeping with other members, so she actually got fired. And I don't feel bad about that at all. But you get what you get. Like, you're free to do what you want, but you're not free from consequences. And there were other women who also called and requested that she no longer be employed there. But it was funny because there were people that I didn't know that knew me that would feel like there was a girl that came up to me. This was after my ex-husband and I don't remember if our divorce was finalized, but we were separated. And she's like, comes up to me in the bar and she's like, "Oh, I follow you on TikTok. Like, you seem like you're doing so great." Because initially on TikTok, I was talking about I've since removed a lot of them, because it's like what you put out is the energy you get back. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be in that energy anymore. Like, I'm in a different place now. And she came up to me and she's like talking to me and then proceeds to tell me that she too had an affair with my ex-husband. And it's like I'm standing in this restaurant bar thing and I'm just like, why did you need to tell me that? Like, I know you're alleviating your conscience, but like, I didn't need to know that. And so like, as far as like gossiping, and she like, I was just sitting there and I was kind of flabbergasted, like gobsmacked. Like, I didn't know what to do. I'm just like, and then like it brought up pain, because like she kind of told me the timeline and I'm like, that would have been when our oldest son was a baby. Wow. And he's telling me he's at work and I'm like struggling with postpartum. Like, it opened up again some of those wounds where it's like where I'd felt abandoned and alone, and it's like, oh, perfect. Like, thank you for sharing that with me.
How many people in your town probably knew you? I mean, you're at a country club. I mean, you know, that's worse than being in the yellow pages. Everybody knows your business now. So how do you function knowing that you come from a pretty well-known family into almost being totally annihilated or demoralized by your husband, who's basically is the giant of the whole, you know, where you live at? Every woman knows him.
It was really, really hard and embarrassing. And I was also really angry, because part of it was like you being my ex-husband. I'm like, you put me at risk. Like, you put my health at risk. Like, I was like, this was so selfish. Like, I remember after I found out about the affair, I went in and got like the full gamut of like STD tests, because I was just like, I don't know what you've been doing. Like, I don't know what you brought home. And I was so angry. And it's like, I'm getting text messages on my phone, like from the app, the medical app. And it's like, oh, your chlamydia test is negative. Your gonorrhea test, like, it's not the messages you want to be getting. I mean, obviously the negative is, yes, you want to be getting that. But I was like, this is not what was supposed to be happening. And so accepting that and recognizing I'm human, and so I was angry, and there were some things that happened where I would kind of react, And now I wouldn't react the same way, but I was so hurt and the betrayal wound was so deep
What
that
do you mean? There were things you would do and react. What do you mean?
well, this is embarrassing and I don't want to know if I want to want to share it with
On TikTok, you might as well go on and tell me.
yeah. So I was at the golf course. My kids were taking golf lessons, and this was early on in like our separation. It would have been, so I found out about the affair in November. He left on Valentine's Day. That's a whole other thing too. So he left on Valentine's Day, and then so this was the springtime, and my kids I was taking them to golf lessons. I'm sitting in there talking with another mom, like, blah, blah, this is what's going on. And she knew my ex-husband, and she kind of said, like, oh, I always knew, like, that he was shady, and I thought you deserved better. And it's like, why couldn't you have said something? But anyway, so we're talking, and she basically told me that she would see my ex-husband out and, like, trying to pick up women when we were married and whatever. And I don't know if I was just blind or I don't know why I didn't see these things. But anyway, so golf lessons get done. I'm like, again, feeling wounded because it's like, okay, he's been sneaking around for years. And so I go to Target, had to get some stuff, and I happened to see his current mistress at Target. And it was like I saw red. Like I like told my kids, I'm like, go pick out some cereal. And like I charged up to her and I spit in her face and I was like, you're a whore, and like cussed her out in Target. And then she
Wait a minute. You went up and moved your kids out of the way to go.
Well, they didn't see any of this. In my defense, they didn't see any of this, but I'm not proud that I did this. But I was in a different place. It was a different time. This was a couple of years ago. And yeah, so
What did she do? Outside of having an affair with your husband, when you confronted her and discharged saliva in her face, I mean, how did she feel? Because she couldn't have done it. Her husband was the one who did it. It wasn't her. She just participated.
yeah. So she just like looked at me and she's like, really, Erin? Like, that's what you're going to do? And then she proceeded to follow me around Target and like kind of like antagonize me.
Did you know her? Did you know her personally?
I mean, no, I would say she was more of an acquaintance, but we didn't like how I wouldn't, she was an acquaintance, but yeah, I knew her. And so then she proceeded to like record me and follow me around Target. It was a whole drama. And then she called the police. So when I got home, there was a squad car waiting in the driveway and they were like, she's pressing charges, and I didn't touch her. And
You spit on her.
well, yes, that's true. And I said to her, she's like, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, and then I said, because she recorded it, I said, I don't know why you're so offended by my bodily fluids when my husband is soaking you in his. And then she's like, you are so vulgar. And I was like, like, it was just like trying to have this like moral superiority to me. And I wasn't having it. But in hindsight, would I do that again? Absolutely not. I don't even care anymore. Like seeing her doesn't elicit any kind of response from me now. But it was just that day finding out that my ex-husband had been cheating for years, and then seeing the woman who he'd been cheating. It was just,
You snap.
yeah. And I was in a different place, and I'm thankful that I didn't like put my hands on her. Like, in hindsight, do I wish that I had not done that? Yes. But again, I'm human, and I was hurt, and it was one thing that was really frustrating when all of that was happening. The police officer that came to my house to like, I don't know, tell me she was going to press charges.
They didn't lock you up?
No. He said, he's like, well, having an affair isn't illegal. And and he's like, but spitting on someone is. And I was like, okay, like, yep. And so, yeah, so she had, I got charged. What did I get charged with? I got charged with disorderly conduct and paid a ticket and whatever. And do I wish I hadn't done it? Yes. But it happened. I can't take it back and moved on.
But you didn't have altercations with these different affair women, but you came in contact with these women. So the bottom line is, who do you really fault in your transformation? Do you fault the women, or do you fault the guy that lured them into the thing? Because this is how I'm seeing this, and I'm not saying this I'm starting to get a picture. We live in a time where everybody knows what's going on. So these women knew he was married. They knew you. So where did the respect for you come in contact? Because these women all knew you. You kind of almost grew up together.
Obviously, like, part of when my divorce was finalized, I'm Catholic, so I did an annulment in the Catholic Church, and that was like really healing, because I looked at my role in our marriage falling apart too. Like, it wasn't like, obviously him having affairs and stepping out, like, yes, that's a major catalyst, but it's like, how did we get to that point? Right. And so I've acknowledged that it's like, I wasn't just this like houseplant that everything happened to. Like, I was involved as well. And like the way that I shifted my focus from my marriage to my children, like, but it also, when our kids were born, my ex-husband, instead of leaning into the family, he just continued to live like he was a single person. And he wanted the wife and kids and family at home, but he also wanted to have girlfriends on the side. And like, when I told him I wanted a divorce, he was like, no, like, he never wanted to not have me as his wife. He wanted both. He wanted the girlfriends and the wife. And one thing that was really funny, like ironic funny, was that my ex-husband, like, through counseling and stuff, because we did try to work it out for like 6 months after I found out about the affair. Like, we did couples counseling, we did all the things. My ex-husband told me in counseling that his girlfriend didn't like it that he was still sleeping with me. And it was like, your girlfriend didn't like it that you were sleeping with your wife? Like, obviously I didn't know about her, but she knew all about me. And, I just thought, I was like, that's rich.
Okay,
like,
Erin, hold on a minute. This is crazy. I want the listeners to stay tuned, because there's more to come here. You're in therapy with a guy that had your husband, small town. Pretty much, he's bedded all the women in your town. Were these women, did they have boyfriends or husbands as well? Because I see a lot of infidelity going on in that little town you live in. So
yeah, well, yes, there is, apparently. I think some did, some didn't. I don't know. It's obviously, I was naive, and thinking, like, believing him when he said he was at work, or like, yeah, but no, like, when you were saying, like, who do I blame? It's like, he knew he was married. Like, he knew he was married. He made vows to me. There shouldn't, like, I guess you can get really confused sometimes and forget you're married and slip and fall into another woman. It happens. Like, I guess you get real confused.
He fell into multiple women.
Yeah, it's super confusing. Like, oh no, I took my clothes off with this woman, and now oh no, what do I do? I don't know.
You kept going to therapy through the first one, the second one. The list is going on. What therapist would say, let's try to work this out? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so I didn't find out about the other affairs until I found out about the one that ended our marriage. But I didn't know about the other ones, and that kind of came out as that process was unfolding. So we were, and my therapist is amazing. Her name is Laura, and I still talk to her. I still see her. I actually have an appointment with her this week. But she really helped me do a lot of healing. And we started seeing her as like couples counseling. And part of it she used, it's called like the Gottman method. And he's in couples counseling. And it was kind of, part of it was like, okay, you have to answer all of Erin's questions. Like you have to reveal like any question she has. And so for me, I don't know why, but I got really hung up on, because eating dinner as a family is really important to me. And so like I really wanted to know if like he took her out on dates, or it's like, or did you guys like DoorDash stuff? Like were you guys having meals together? Like, because it's one thing if it's like, okay, it's sex, but it's another thing like if you're dating and courting and there's emotions and like feelings, like that's different. And not that either was
were you trying to put, not to cut you off, I'm trying to get a clear thing here. So your way of processing that therapy's method in your mind was to validate what's important to you, which is the symbolism of eating dinner is a family. So you was willing to put that aside if that wasn't the case and look at him in a different light, if it was just intimacy?
No, but it was like trying to understand. Like, did you just want like the physical stuff, or were you seeking another relationship? Like, did you want like a second family? Did like trying to understand like why are you doing this was, and so and like I had never put myself in a situation when I was married where there could even be the question of infidelity. Like I never put myself in a situation where I would even allow there to be questioning my integrity. Like it was because I valued him and I cared about him and I loved him. And so that, even as messed up as it was, like I never put myself in a situation where there could even be that question raised. And so to me, that it was really like a betrayal on so many different levels, because I felt like he had no respect for me, obviously. And
and questions in therapy?
No, not really. He would like dodgeball, duck dive, dodge dip.
So,
Like, no, and that was part of the problem. And then it was like he kept saying he wanted to work it out, but he didn't want to tell me what happened. Like he didn't want to like say share locations, or he didn't want to let me see his phone. And it's like part of those things, it's like when I'm the person that's been betrayed, you gotta kind of let me. And not that I wanted to do that forever. Like I never want to be in a relationship where I have the need or want to check the other person's phone. Like, and the same for me. It's like, yeah, you want to look through my phone, go ahead. But that's not something, like I want to trust the person I'm with. And so, yeah, like just the trust being broken was so hard. And then it was like a switch went off when I said, like, I'm done. Like, because I am very loyal and forgiving and, like, was willing to, like, okay, we can work through this. Like, we can get through this. And I found out, it was in April. So I found out about the affair in November. Then April that spring, I found out that he was still seeing her. And I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And I changed the locks on the house and I took all of his stuff and put it in the detached garage. And then that next day, I don't remember what day of the week it was, but he came over and like had this letter and was like saying all the things. Like, I'm sorry, don't do this, but I was done. Like at that point I was like, this is the last straw. I am done. And it was like a switch flipped in him that he went from trying to get me back to like, how can I hurt her the most? And one of the crazy things about divorce is, and going through a divorce, is it's the person that you're separating from, you're grieving almost like a death or a loss, but it's also with a person that knows all your softest parts. Like they know exactly where to put that knife and twist to make it hurt the most. Mm-hmm. And he did that. And so I remember initially when I told him I wanted a divorce and I said, this is what I want, like the list. And he fought me like tooth and nail on, like we spent so much money on lawyers. And at the end of the day, when it ended, that was what I said I wanted on that initial day when I said I wanted a divorce. That was what happened. But instead, we spent like $100,000 on lawyers, and we didn't have. I mean, I like had to borrow against my house to pay, and it's just so stupid. And in a divorce, the only person that wins are the attorneys. Like everyone is going to lose. Like everyone is losing, and so. It's just wild. Like that's one of the things like where like he had the affair, he left, and then I paid him. And I'm like, how did we get here? How did this happen? Like, and again,
what do you mean you paid him? You had to pay alimony?
I paid him, yes, because I was the breadwinner. and it's like I'm like, you can't make this shit up. Like it's so like a lot of guys, particularly on the internet, will say things because I make TikToks and I talk about my life and I let people in. So I know by putting myself out there, I open myself up to
ridicule,
people saying all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and it's just like, oh, you must have been just a bitch and you must have been frigid and all these things. And it's like, nope, it wasn't any of those things. And it's like, or like men will say, like, comment, like, how, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, you'd have to ask him because I don't know. But yeah, it's just like at the end of the day, like, I remember writing him that check and I was just like.
How much was the check?
Well, I wrote him 2, but the one for $50,000 was. I just couldn't. I was like,
now, what is your parents thinking? This is a 2-part question. What does his parents think about what happened? What does your parents think? You're the only child. Naturally, your mom and dad is overprotective to a degree. You're the only child. And you got to now give this guy who everybody in the freaking town knows him. And you're paying this guy like your mom and dad cannot be happy. But at the same time, you got his grandkids.
Yeah. My mom and dad, obviously, they love their grandkids. They loved him. Like my mom and dad are still like I'm over it. Like I've healed. I've moved on. I've accepted it. But my mom and dad are still, would be in that. They still get angry. Like, and they still are. But it's also, they have those parent protective instincts and they're like, how could you do this in our perfect little angel? And it's like, okay, well, I'm not perfect, I'm not an angel, but like I think that they just, my mom especially wants like justice, and I just tell her, I'm like, Mom, there is no justice. Like you just have to let it go and move on. And
what about his parents? I mean, you got 3 kids together. I can't imagine a dude being that ruthless that will go to that. What divorce does crazy things to people, but at the end of the day, man, you got 3 kids. Why do you want to take $50,000 plus whatever you gave him on the other check away from your kids. Like
His dad, I'm just going to be blunt. His dad is a loser. And it's like a spineless, like if you imagine like the most spineless beta boy, that would be his dad. And I didn't see that until later. And I remember the last interaction I had with his dad, because he's basically repeating, my ex-husband repeated the cycle that his dad did. Like, because his parents were divorced, and his dad is basically like a kept man and is with this woman that just like pays for everything and basically gives him an allowance. And it's the most like,
but Erin, you seen all of this stuff prior. So what does that say for your judgment?
Well, obviously, like I thought he was different. I was like, I remember my parents having concerns about his family, and I was like, well, I'm not marrying his family. Like, he's not like them.
Hey, you did.
Yep. Yep. I remember the last interaction I had with my ex-husband's dad, and I basically like looked at him and I was like, you are such a little bitch. I was like, I don't know how you look yourself in the mirror. I was like, or call yourself a man. I was like, I would be ashamed of myself if I were you. I was like, not only are you a loser, you raised one. And I was like, how? I was like, how do you look yourself in the face and call yourself a man? I was like, because I look at you and I see a huge failure that raised a failure. And he was just like, and I'm like, okay, well, that's all I have to say. Goodbye.
How did you, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this before we wrap up. You have that beast mindset now that, what happened. You're almost like a living legend now. And the story of Erin,
like the fiery redhead.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. So, but it's almost like you're a legend. Everybody knows your story. So, how does that make you feel knowing that, your husband was the Pied Piper of the neighborhood, and you passing out money to him, and it just sounds like total fucking dysfunction here. Like, how do you keep that beast mindset and still have the beautiful laughter that you have and really get closure at the end of the day?
Well, really, it's like, yes, I went through a lot of pain, but at the end of the day, I would have stayed. Like, I was loyal. I would have stayed. I didn't realize how unhappy I was and how alone I was and how lonely I was until I went through all of this, and I've healed, and now I've found passions. Like, I love going to the gym. I love traveling. Like, dating is that's a whole other, but it's like I'm meeting new people, and I've met men that are men and that treat me.
They appear to be at this point.
Well, yes.
Yeah, that's not great.
But like
too quick.
Right.
Have you healed?
I'm also very like okay in my own skin. Mm-hmm. Like putting myself, like I said, putting myself out there on TikTok, and I do stuff with like fashion and dressing, and it's like I'm not under any kind of impression that I have like this perfect body, but I want to help like other women or men to see like bad things can happen, adversity can come up. But at the end of the day, like if you're strong and you know who you are, which I rediscovered myself, I refound that, like I kind of say like I refound my weirdness, like all those goofy little quirky things that made me, like she was still in there. And so I'm just letting her back out and letting her live and have fun. And at the end of the day, like I want to raise, my greatest accomplishment is going to be raising good people. And so I want my kids to see that their mom is happy and strong and resilient. And despite whatever she did in a Target one time 5 years ago, like that those parts, those things don't define me. Like, I am not defined by my divorce. Like, that is something that happened. Like, in the story of my life, that's not the story, that's a chapter. And there's so many amazing things that have happened. And if I was still married to him, they wouldn't have happened. And so many fun things that I've been able to do and opportunities. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. Like, there's so many like wonderful things that have come out of a broken, bad situation. So
like a winner. You know what? I wish you the best of luck. You definitely have that beast mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe, like, share, click that button. All it takes is one click of a button to make a difference in your life or to change somebody else's. This has been another, and I do mean another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.